Joe MacDonald grew up on the family farm in Nova Scotia. He was the 11th of 16 children. In 1941, still just 17 years old, he enlisted in the Canadian Army, transferring and ending his military career in the Air Force, stationed on the English Channel during the course of World War II. After the war, Joe got a job in the parts department at the Cockshut Plough Company in Truro, Nova Scotia. And from that humble beginning, he started a lifelong career in the farm equipment industry, becoming the president of White Farm Equipment Canada in 1970. In 1971, Joe moved his wife and 4 sons to Winnipeg, where they purchased Kilberry Industries, a small manufacturer of harvesting equipment with 45 employees.
Kilberry Industries was a company that produced a lot of different products, and when our father joined them, he narrowed the focus to primarily harvesting equipment. He generated some OEM contracts, which is original equipment manufacturers, the big names like the Massey Fergusons and the Case Internationals at the time, and such companies as that, and White Farm Machinery. And the company took off.
5 years later, the company had a new name, MacDonald Industries, and a workforce of over 350 people.
My dad was a pretty quiet guy, but he was a very forceful individual, and he was obviously very intelligent to have managed to put this whole thing together. Quite brilliant at marketing and sales. He was very, very hardworking, and didn't expect any more of others than he did of himself. But also, I would say, somewhat religious man, although not overtly, more in a quiet way. He was a firm believer that there's somebody helping us out up there, and we need to act accordingly. So he treated others as he would want to be treated. He was coming home from business trips and taking us to hockey practice and participating in every way he could, and trying to balance between a work life which demanded a lot of him and a lot of time away from the family, with doing what the family needed and being there for us. My father was picked by the Equipment Manufacturers Institute, which represents pretty much all of the major ag equipment and construction equipment manufacturers around the planet. He was voted to be one of the 100 biggest contributors to the prior 100 years in 1993. So that's a pretty big statement. He believed that if everybody worked hard and pulled together and got along, that he could do his part, and all of us could do our parts to make the world a better place.
Today, MacDon employs over 700 people, designing and producing agricultural equipment in a 500,000 square foot state-of-the-art plant in Winnipeg. Joe and his sons built the company into one of North America's largest agricultural equipment manufacturers, with sales and distribution networks around the world.
Effectively, what we're trying to accomplish here is to produce the equipment that harvests the food that feeds the world. That's the theory. And that's what we try to do. And so he instilled that in his 4 sons. He managed to have all 4 sons at different times work for the company. 3 of us still work here, and we get up and do that every day.
Joe volunteered his time to many industry and community organizations. He was a founding member of the Canadian Farm and Industrial Equipment Institute, where he served as president and chairman of the board. He also served as director of the Canadian 4-H Council. And as a true football fan, Joe served for 3 years as a director of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Joe passed away in 1991, but he left behind a legacy that continues to grow and thrive. We are proud to welcome Joe MacDonald to the Manitoba Manufacturers Hall of Fame.